Good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you're joining this webinar. My name is Larry Orimoloye. Today I'm going to be talking about, your path to enterprise AI, tales from the field. But before I start, let's give it a minute for people to join before commencing. So we're just going to give it 1 minute to let people dial in before we start the webinar. So let's get started. Once again, guys, my name is Larry Orimoloye. I work as sales engineer at Dataiku, driving data and AI strategy for our global customers. What that means is using Dataiku DSS to solve challenging business problems our customers are trying to solve across all sectors. I'm also interested in driving tangible business value by combining advanced analytics using structured and unstructured data across all industries. So my focus is on helping clients deliver return on investment utilizing business-led technology-enabled approach to AI. I'll be taking questions at the end of the presentation, guys, so feel free to drop or leave a comment in the chat window. At the end of my webinar, I'm going to be taking questions. So, to start with, what is Dataiku and why do we exist as a company? Dataiku Data Science DSS platform is designed to solve wide arrays of problems across diverse industries. So be it to improve productions and reduce downtime for a customer, or for solving market basket analysis to abandonment problems. Problems could range from fraud detection problems to recommendation systems to churn prediction to logistic optimization to pricing. Other problems could be machine perception problems such as image processing, for example. The possibilities are endless. Simply put, regardless of your current size as a company or your current position to achieving enterprise AI, you can leverage Dataiku DSS to be a successful organization. So did I just mention enterprise AI? Yes, I mentioned enterprise AI. Let me come back to that in a second. Small, medium, and large-scale organizations depend on Dataiku to achieve their objectives. So on the right-hand side of the slide, you can see a list of subset of our customers that can attest to our credibility and leadership to delivering enterprise AI across their organizations. So just to put some numbers to the claims I'm trying to make, starting with few statistics, PwC survey shows 88% of people obtain little or no value from their data, right? And those that have managed to leverage their data have been able to increase their EBITDA by 30% and obtain 3 times return on their equity. So like I said, I'm not going to leave you guys hanging without defining what an enterprise AI is. So what is enterprise AI? So this is a process where organizations of any size is able to leverage AI to augment their business process and also benefit employees 100%. So let's imagine a company such as a bank, a telecom, a manufacturing company, a pharmaceutical, an oil and gas, an airline company, among others, on a mission with strong mandate to leverage AI across the organization. This could involve activities in thousands to be transformed, for example, 10,000 of people involved in data efforts, and loads of data projects, including loads of model and data projects to be built and tracked. This could easily become complex and intractable, which is one of the things that keeps a CEO, a CFO, or a CDO awake all night, for example. So before we can embark on this journey, because, as I mentioned, enterprise AI is a collaborative effort. So what journey can an organization with data embark upon to achieve an enterprise AI if they don't want to be disrupted? Well, there are some challenges along the way. I would talk about 4 main challenges limiting organizations from achieving enterprise AI and provide some solutions to this problem. So the first challenge we're going to be the first challenge we're going to be talking about is velocity paralysis, right? So what is velocity paralysis? Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of organizations grasp with, technology, about data, about siloed people, about siloed processes. So what is velocity paralysis? Well, if you look at this chart showing technology trends, with SQL on decline and technology like Kubernetes and Spark on the rise, as a leader, that creates a worry. What kind of skill set should I be training my people to prioritize within my company? So which technology should I use, right? It's a legitimate concern for organizations. So I once met a CDO of a large firm at a global conference, and one of his challenges was diverse landscape of technology to choose from. Every vendor is claiming to do similar things, right? How can we navigate this seas of tools and know which will deliver? Some tools which are relevant today might not be relevant tomorrow. So what should be my short-term and long-term strategy, for example? Should I start by setting up a data lake, a cluster, a container? So much confusion with things like Docker and Kubernetes, right, for example. So how do I get, the best talent, data science skills set? Do I leverage my in-house staff by offering them training on how to become a citizen data scientist or hire a unicorn, for example? So how do I ensure my staff stay relevant at all times working on innovative projects? So those are legitimate concerns. The second challenge is called the Babel spaghetti, right? These are challenges organizations face or grasp with to achieving enterprise AI. Now, if you look at the traditional landscape of how, an IT project works, right? It usually starts with a business owner who designs the application, an IT dev who does the development, an IT op person who does the deployment and generates operational value. Let's put that side by side with a traditional data science project. And now, you have a business owner who defines the business problem to be solved in the organization. You have the business analyst who does the data prep, for example. And then you have the data scientist who does the modeling, and then the data engineer who does the deployment and tries to generate insight or value from those data. Now, it becomes complicated because at the end of the day, there is no, when you're building your model, you should have the visibility to be able to go back to your data and actually reiterate or generate more features that could go into your model if the predictive accuracy is not good enough. Again, you might want to do things like, well, I don't need to go to my business analyst. As a data scientist, I want to do the data prep myself so that I have good visibility of what I'm trying to achieve at the end of the day. And again, as a business analyst that knows the business very, very well, the in and out of the business, you want to actually prototype, right? You want to fail fast and go to the next big thing when you're modeling. So you want to understand a high-level information about my business using, a non-black box model, for example. Now, if you see the back and forth that goes across team, this could easily get complicated, right? With different iterations going around with business owners, to business analysts, to data scientists, and to data engineers. This could become intractable. Now, a challenge organization faces, well, I have people who are business analysts who could be potentially a citizen data scientists, right, who are not coders, right? How do I enable those people to collaborate effectively with my unicorn, my data scientists who are going to bring innovation to my company, right? How do I make sure that the model I'm going to put into production is in alignment with my IT strategy across the organization? How do I make sure that, we've set out a strategy at the beginning of the year to make sure that we deliver on a certain number of projects? How do I make sure that I deliver on those projects and making sure I have visibility with my stakeholders within the organization? Well, this doesn't have to be siloed project. And as you will see, the suggestion I'm going to be giving at the end of this problem, you can see how you can leverage data science DSS to achieving your objectives. Another challenge organizations tend to face is what we call the operationalization fairy tale. How do I make sure I can put my model into production so that people actually can benefit from my model across the organization? So like every fairy tale, I'm going to start with a story, right? Once upon a time, there used to be a prince, right, who is being captured by a dragon. You might be thinking, what the hell is this guy talking about? We're talking about data science. We're talking about AI. He's talking about a prince being captured by a dragon. So just bear with me. You would know where this story is going at the end of the day. So then here comes a princess who is able to kill the dragon and then set the prince free. And now you would expect, after doing a good job defeating the dragon, they would live happily ever after. But the question is, did they end up living happily ever after, right? The moral of the story is, at the end of the day, after defeating the dragons, you might have to think, well, now you've done a good job. We might have to think about the carriage we have to buy, right? We need to make a uniform decision about the carriage we need to buy. We need to, invest in a property. What kind of property are we going to buy? There would be some form of disagreement between the two, for sure, about agreeing on which property to buy. Again, here comes the children. How many children do we want to have in the future? The prince and the princess have to agree. Is it 2? Is it 4? Right? I remember when I was about to, to get married to my wife, the same situation came up where I asked my wife, I want to have 4 kids. And my wife was like, yeah, in your dreams, now you're going to have 4 kids, because she wants to have 2. So there should be an alignment, right, between the two, the prince and the princess. So where am I going with this, right? Well, defeating the dragon and living happily ever after are 2 different ballgames. And it's just the same, about data science projects, right? There used to be a time where you have a fantastic model which you've put into production. It could be a model that you've actually developed to solve a machine perception problem. Think of speech to text, think of image processing, a cutting-edge model. Now, you've used a lot of data sets, structured data, unstructured data to build this model. And you've actually, employed the best data scientists to build this model for you. Now, the challenge comes is, again, as a data scientist that have built this model, delivering value for the organization, does this model actually continue to deliver value across time? Because there will be a time that diminishing return will happen where you would have to, reiterate this model and rebuild this model to use the benefit for the organization. Now, building a model and delivering great business value are 2 different ballgames. And a lot of organizations struggle to actually actualizing the goal of actually deploying the model they've built to achieve a tangible business value. So again, the life cycle of data science projects comes with you generate an idea, you design your model, you productionalize, you deploy, you execute, and you generate a business value. If you look at the dotted line here, that's where the operationalization takes place. An example is, let me just give you an example of a retail bank, for example, trying to score new customers for mortgage or to score new customers coming for a loan, right? That's an idea. You want to embark on a model that is able to score new customers coming into my branch. Now, you need to go gather the data set to have a 360 view of your historical customers before you can actually make sure you're not missing any information out. Now, in that process, you're trying to design your model. Then you might think of, well, let me try a gradient boosting to build my model, or try a random forest, or try a deep neural network. It doesn't matter. So the point is you're actually designing your model. And at the end of the day, having a fancy algorithm, right? You've done a good job and built a model that is able to score new customers, but you need to deploy that either in batch or in real time. And there comes a challenge for most organizations. You've built a good enough model, and then you need to deploy this model to entity, right? So again, how do I get my model into the hands of the business, somebody working in the branch office who is able to leverage the good work I've built? And now that's where you can get your business value from that model you've built. So how do I operationalize my model, which is really, really important. And then if there's an acronym for that, 016N. Now, again, like I said, the design and the operationalization are 2 different entities, right? You have different teams, different systems, technology, and people don't have to work in silos, right? Even though you have people taking care of the design of the model and you have the IT team actually trying to deploy your model, how can they work in a collaborative environment where everybody is able to get value, achieve the same purpose across the organization? Now, just let's imagine the example I gave about trying to score real customer in real time for a loan, right? You might invest, again, some time in designing the model, let's say 2 weeks. Just bear in mind that I'm not taking into consideration the time it's going to take you to go gather the data, because you might want to get data from multiple database sources, having a 360 view of your historical customer. But the challenge organization faces, moving forward after designing the model, how do I put my model into production to continue to generate value for my businesses, right? Sometimes it could go into months if it's a complex model, for example, and it doesn't have to be that case. Now, the fourth challenge a lot of organizations face is the cost of decreasing productivity. Now, I'm sure a lot of organizations set out really well at the beginning of the year saying, well, we want to deliver, value this year. We want to make sure that we move mountains. We want to make sure that we are an innovative, data-driven company, right? Every company wants to get there, leveraging enterprise AI across their organization. So let's imagine, most CDOs come at the beginning of the meeting, bring in their team, the AI head is in the meeting, and then you say to your worker, the people in the team and the scientists, and say, well, at the beginning of this year, our goal is to work mostly on high impact projects, and low impact project will be a minute or limited portion of what we're going to deliver across the business. Well, that's good in a way, but having a visibility of this is really, really critical, because as you would see that most organizations struggle with this. So again, few months down the line, you might want to reevaluate, and you notice, well, you've delivered some important projects, maybe in April, and then you see that you're spending a lot of time maintaining the project you've actually delivered, because you think there are business owners that want separate requests across different departments, trying to understand how they could leverage the model you built, and then you have maintenance tasks to actually do at the end of the day, so you have to split your team to work on this multiple projects. Mid-year, you see yourself, well, important projects are actually declining. You're spending your time, answering requests from different departments, right? You have the logistic department asking for an optimization algorithms. You have a marketing department asking for, well, I want to do some upselling, and then how do I, get a team from your data science team to work on this project? So you have a lot of, projects scattered all over the place, and you're not focusing on innovative projects anymore. And then again, in September, you're trying to take stock, and you were thinking, well, I'm not actually working on, innovative projects anymore. Even though I set out to work on innovative projects at the beginning of the year, at the end of the day, I'm now even, not doing innovation anymore. I'm just maintaining existing projects, which shouldn't be the case. And then at the end of the year, you're kind of taking stock, and you ask yourself, where did the good times go, right? I set out at the beginning of the year to achieve, to make my company a unicorn, right? An innovative company able to leverage enterprise AI. Here I am at the end of the year. I'm not doing anything in terms of innovation. I'm just busy actually reinventing the wheels and just, generating reports, which is not beneficial to the organization growth. So now I've actually here marked, this 4 pinpoints that organizations actually struggle that could hinder them from achieving enterprise AI. So I'm going to actually propose some solution on how do I move from actually solving this problem to actually achieving a solution for my organizations. So it's important to bear in mind that the fundamental challenge is not software. Even though I know there are multiple organizations out there still struggling with siloed data. Some organizations, for example, in the telecom industry, I've had among my peers, for example, they want to report the monthly subscription across the company. And the challenge for this organization is because they have a multiple data sources, having a true sense of people that are actually subscribing to the base on monthly basis is difficult. So having an helicopter view of people joining the company. But then that shouldn't be the case, right? Another problem organizations struggled with is siloed people. Again, success is not defined by having great business acumen or fantastic data science or great analytics mindset. You need them all together collaborating. Another challenge organization face, like I mentioned, is siloed processes, right? You have labs, IT, data operations, businesses, all have their own processes and values. And again, being able to align and work together is really, really key. So again, There is always a challenge in terms of siloed people working in their comfort zone, not sharing information, which could hinder, innovation across organization. And then you have siloed processes. Now, again, like I said, how do I move from the bottom to the top to leveraging enterprise AI, which is the goal organizations are aspiring to achieve? Again, don't be an organization with only short-term goals and objectives, because today's solution will be definitely tomorrow's challenges. You need to have a vision for a long term. You also need to develop short-term strategy as well as to ensure you are well positioned as an organization. So how do I solve the velocity paralysis problem, right? I'm just going to play this out. So you need to leverage existing skills and secure sustained availability, right? Making sure that, there are some tools that are going to be hot today, but, at the end of the day, maybe tomorrow they're not going to be hot anymore. If you take Pig, for example, right? It used to be hot, but Pig, if you look at Pig now, nobody is actually leveraging that. So you want to make sure that you have a vision for the future and the strategy of your organization is going to be future-proof, for example. And you also want to use your current infrastructure and be ready for tomorrow's challenges. So you've got DSS Dataiku at the center of it all, which allows you to integrate with this seas of technology, which actually keeps a lot of CDOs awake all night. Like I mentioned before, when I met the CDO telling me his headache after attending a crucial conference, the challenge is being able to leverage existing technology because the landscape is constantly changing. You want to be able to extend your base on current and future operation requirements, right? You don't want to be tied onto any platform which is not allowing you to innovate. So again, I mentioned about the barbell spaghetti, where everybody is actually trying to leverage each other's skill set across the organization. Being able to collaborate on a common platform is really, really crucial, whereby a business owner can actually, leverage the skill set of a business analyst, or leverage the business skill set of a data scientist, or leverage the business skill set of a data engineer across the organization. So again, how do you solve that problem? With DSS capabilities, business analysts can now work together with an engineer or with a data scientist to achieving the same objective across the organizations. So there is no silos, there is no silo processes. Everybody is speaking the same language, right? Where you can actually, have a collaborative platform which allows you to achieve in good time, because time to value is very, very important across the organization. Again, going forward on the operationalization fairy tale I stated, it's really, really important because I know a lot of organizations out there are really struggling on how to put things into production. A lot of organizations even recode some of their models to put things into production because at the end of the day, programmers have, data scientists have different skill sets, and they might have programmed in multiple languages. And the challenge is, well, I've done this fancy algorithm. How do I put this into production? You have to anticipate for operationalization, really, really important, even before you actually start your project or before you start your data science project. Anticipate for operationalization, anticipate for packaging and reusing of your flow. Make sure you have an environment which is able to monitor, govern, version your model in production. Make sure you're able to, deliver checks and metrics around your model and data flow performance and behavior, which is very, very important. I'm going to leave you with a use case in the past where I think it was Netflix. They actually showed a cargo competition there, and the cargo competition was to build a recommendation engine, and whoever wins this competition was supposed to win a $1 million US. Now, as you know, cargo competition is really, really competitive, and you have a lot of people building generic models and others actually building assemble models for this recommendation engine. And at the end of it all, there was a good model which won the $1 million prize. But at the end of it all, Netflix released a statement which was, well, we're really happy this model was really built. It's a fantastic model. It's able to actually model all the variables we've provided. But the challenge is it's so complicated, we can't put this into production, right? We couldn't productionalize the model because it was just too complicated. So the moral of the story is you have to anticipate operationalization and being able to provide an enabling environment to productionalize what your data scientists have built. Again, I think I've been mentioning reuse and automate. And what DSS allows you to do is to reuse whatever you've built, package that, and automate your processes. And then again, you can work with diverse skill sets. You can work with your project management on the platform in form of wiki, where you have an information that gives you an helicopter view on what the project is all about. And then you have a data scientist that can actually visualize the flow to know what has been built in the project. So things like being able to automate key operations with APIs, leverage the plugins we've provided to do a couple of things. You can also navigate previous works in centralized project directories, and you can secure future understanding, for, like I said, for inbuilt wiki. So again, coming back to how you would get to enterprise AI, it's important again that you leverage what we call enabling self-service analytics and the operationalization piece. Now you have diverse profiles here working together, leveraging self-service analytics, such as operations teams, the risk teams, the marketing teams, the executive management, people with diverse skill sets being able to achieve the same purpose. And there are some organizations out there that have a small team, right, where the go-to person across the organization is just one simple guy that knows how to code, for example, in Python and R, and every request is being sent out to this one single guy. And what you want to do in that situation is to open up the skill set where everybody can actually leverage the skill set of this single guy and collaborate. And the solution could be going via the route of self-service analytics, where people with diverse skill sets can actually extract the information they need on the platform and being able to operationalize that, be it in batch or in real time. Now again, the magic formula which I stated to increasing productivity and is to divide and conquer using the self-service analytics and operationalization formula, which is AI acceleration formula. So you want to build on many local sources and then also build on your major global sources along the way. I think wrapping things up, fairy tales can come true, right, if you don't take things for granted. So like the story I said, at the end of the day, you can actually have your cake and eat it, really. It doesn't have to be an strategy. You can have it and eat it, definitely. So I think that comes to the end of this this webinar, but I'm going to check if there are questions on the chat window. If you have any questions, now will be the time to put in some questions to see if we can go through those questions. Oh, people were actually talking about audio. I hope it was clear enough during my presentation. So which are the questions? You can drop your question in. Now will be the right time to ask questions, guys. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop it on the chat window, and then I can answer it at the moment. Questions? Questions? So I have one question here, guys. How does your framework incorporate Save AI? I think if you look at the research that has been done in understanding what Save AI is all about, where I think a lot of research has been done by introducing what we have, the PD, the ICE, and the line, just to enable that people are not being discriminated in the type of algorithm being used to score customers, for example. A lot of this functionality you can access on our platform, since we support the open source collaboration, which is the DSS is more or less an orchestrator, which allows you to leverage different open source tools. You have the possibility of actually leveraging, Python, R, Spark on the platform and build, for example, algorithms like Lime, algorithms like ICE, algorithms like PD to leverage what we call Save AI on your platform. So as a corporate organization, we more or less active in this space, and this is more or less one of our focus going forward as well. So another question, guys. Question. I'm going to leave it for 30 seconds. I have questions and then. So one question just came in. The question is, how complicated is it to transition towards a data-driven business? Can medium-sized companies really make the transition to become automated when there are data silos and internal privacy complications? I think, for medium and small-sized company can definitely leverage DSS. Again, we have a strategy, for medium and small scale company, looking to leverage a data-driven, make sure their company is data-driven going forward. Again, the same flow that's being used for large scale can be used for medium scale or small scale to achieve an enterprise AI, where you start from your design flow and then you can move to your automation or your API deployment, depending on the situation or the problem you're trying to solve. Again, I think you would have to bear in mind that you would need people who are business and analytically savvy across your organization. And what that means is you always want to start small with a footprint of a use case, right? What kind of problem are you facing as an organization? Whether you're a small size or a big size, there would be a common problem you're trying to solve within your organization. It might even be you're trying to disrupt an existing market. And once you can identify the use case or the problem you're trying to solve, with DSS comes a robust tool that can allow you to ingest data from different multiple sources. It could be from Hadoop, it could be from Teradata, it could be from Postgres database. And at the end of the day, once you have the 360 view or 360 view of the data, then you can actually go to the modeling. And after you have your model, you can actually deploy that with a push of a button, right? Be it, like I said, in real time or in batch. So again, being able to leverage DSS, you can actually solve the problem of silos and internet privacy complications. And if you want to have more conversation on this topic, just feel free to reach out and I can give you more detailed information of how to approach this problem from, a use case point of view. So thanks for listening, guys. I hope this has been very, very useful. I think we actually have a large crowd listening to this webinar. I really appreciate it. Thanks for listening and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.